Hey guys, this is Chelsea Schaefer and this is The Score. This is the Team Roping Journal's venture into the world of podcasting. On this show, you'll be able to bring the Team Roping world's movers and shakers on the road or to the office with you. They'll be telling stories and talking through some of the issues facing this sport. As the editor of the Team Roping Journal, I'll be your host. Hey everyone, welcome to The Score. This is the Team Roping Journal's podcast. This episode is with Jay Ellerman, a 5-time NFR header who just so happens to live one road behind me. So on Sunday morning, we got to have some coffee together and enjoy just a really nice conversation, a good conversation between friends about the evolution of the rope horse business in his career and also the evolution of his life and how it has kind of coincided with the growth of team roping. So if you don't know Jay, I'm really sorry. You should, and maybe you should go to one of his schools because he is a legendary teacher, especially in the northern Colorado area where he's from. Jay roped with the likes of Ricky Green, Walt Woodard, Bobby Harris, Jay Wadhams, and J.D. Yates in his career, among others. And now he gets to heel every so often for his kids, Taya McAdow and Britt Ellerman. He is very involved in the Colorado team roping community. He helped start the CJRA, Colorado Junior Rodeo Association, when his kids were young. And at that point, that is when Jay kind of split off from the rodeo road and made the choice to put his family above his team roping. It's a transition that as we kind of all get older, a lot of guys that are at the top of their game when they're in their 20s and 30s eventually make because they want to spend more time with their families. I know Dustin Bird is fighting it, deciding whether or not he wants to go back on the road, whether or not he wants to rodeo now with his second son on the way. So it's just a very familiar feeling, and it's something that Jay talks about very eloquently and kind of how the competitive nature inside him still works and still balances out and still keeps him in the game and still working on his horses. So this was a really nice conversation between friends over some coffee, and I'm really glad we could share it with you. So I hope you enjoy it, and please remember, after you listen, to leave us a review on SoundCloud, Stitcher, or iTunes. Every review helps, and every review counts. And I do love to hear from you all, too. You can email me at cschaefer@aimmedia.com. Give me a note about what you like, what you don't like, maybe who you want to see on this podcast. So thank you all. Have a great day. Hi, Jay.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Great, thanks.
Jay, now give me a little bit of background. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Greeley area. My dad worked on a ranch out by Mike Survey's, actually. Mm-hmm. And I learned to rope outside in the spring. They would bring in a bunch of yearlings from Louisiana and down south, so that a lot of them were sick. Oh, wow. And I was like 9 or 10. And so he and I would go and doctor in a pasture all day long, and made a lot of good horses that way.
Yeah, what kind of horses were you riding back then?
You know, it was just stuff that the guy that ran the ranch his name was Red Putman, and he had some wise camps, some stuff like that, but he had several different things that he was working on, like a lot of people, you know. So we would ride them. And then at night, after we doctored all day, we might come in, and we had horn steers, and we'd get a run 4 or 5. And but back in those days, we all came from the right, headers and heelers. We had the old swing shoot gate, you know. Yeah. Everything was wood. In the arena I learned to rope in, there was a right fence, but no left fence. It was about a mile to it was the horse pasture, actually. It just had a chute in it. And we would rope the steers, jerk them down, or to take the ropes off. So it was a long ways from what we have now.
Yeah. So were there were jackpots back then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we jackpotted. My dad roped a lot. He learned to rope. up in California, spent a lot of time in California, and then moved to Colorado. And it's kind of funny, one of the first guys that he met was Dick Yates. So I've known Dick ever since I was little.
So that's how the Yates-Ellerman connection started.
Yeah, we've been friends forever. Yeah.
And so why did you choose the path? Why did you start going to the pro rodeos, and kind of how did you get into that line of work, I guess?
Well, as a kid, you always have a dream of wanting, if you rope at all, everybody wants to make the finals. And so I always had it in the back of my mind and always worked toward that, and went to college.
You did? You went to the college
rodeos
finals.
Scholarship, Actually, I never really thought about going to college. And I had a good friend, Bob and Brenda Van Newkirk, which Brenda worked for Cinch forever. And so Bob called me and said, hey, if you'll go to college, they owned the Snubbing Post Western store there. He said, I'll pay your way. So he blessed me and paid my way to college. And
where did you go to college?
Torrington, Eastern Wyoming. And so I rodeoed there a couple of years, and it's things just kind of started to work out. JD helped me. I had known Bobby Harris a long time, ever since he was really a kid, and I hung around with JD a lot when we were in college, and we were good friends. And so Bobby had made the finals once, and the next year he needed a partner, and JD told Bob, you got to rope with Jake. So that's kind of how I got my start. But in between there, I met Walt Woodard and Ricky, and Walt was rodeoing, doing schools, and Ricky was living with Walt. And so I had just got married, and Walt called me and he said, hey, why don't you come and live with me and head for Ricky? So I said, okay. So Tammy and I loaded up, and we went and lived with Walt and Darlene for a while, and I roped with Ricky, and we had a great time, learned a lot, loved the California rodeos. A lot of tradition there at all the rodeos. And at that time, things were a little bit different. It was a lot slower. You didn't go to near as many rodeos as you do now, because team roping wasn't mandatory. There was only a few states that had team roping. So you may only go to, in the spring, there's only be one, maybe two rodeos a week in California.
So were you involved at all on the political side of pro rodeo when team roping got kind of pushed to be a mandatory event, or with equal money? What kind of role did you take when you were rodeoing as far as advocacy for cowboys?
It's always been tough for team ropers because, and this is not saying anything against stock contractors, but most of them don't like team roping. Why? I don't know, because if you look into the PRCA and how things work there, majority, I don't know what the exact percentages of
I think it's in the 60s as far as
our team ropers.
Yeah.
So we pay for a lot of things there. And there was a time at the finals where Jake and Clay, and I know Matt Tyler, stood up in the meeting before the finals and said, look, we're not going to rope. And there's been a lot of stuff like that tried, so that, and I'm glad now. We see Mike Survey all the time, and I talk to him a lot about rodeo, but it was Tom Feller, and Brett Tanazzi that got team roping mandatory in the PRCA. Now we don't have equal money everywhere, which they call it double money, but that's not right.
Yeah, that isn't.
That isn't right. So, I was around when a lot of that come about.
Through all of the changes there.
Yeah.
And now, but you chose, though you were roping with guys in Texas and California and all over, you chose to stay in Colorado?
I roped with a lot of people close to home.
Mm-hmm.
I did, but there are a lot of great ropers in this area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I roped with Bobby, who was a world champion,
Mm-hmm.
Jay Wadhams. So yeah, it was easier for me because then we would not, you know, I mean, we didn't take our own rigs.
Mm-hmm.
We went together a lot to make things more economical.
Yeah, what kind of rig were you rodeoing in the early days?
Oh, well, when JD and I rodeoed and jackpotted, he had a van. They had a van and a tongue pull force. Now, Tammy and I, first time I went to the Cow Palace with Bobby Harris, we had a van and a 2-horse WW side by side.
Oh man.
Yeah, we drove all the way to San Francisco and went to the Alcatraz and did all the stuff that you do, you know.
Yeah.
It was more of a vacation than a rodeo trip.
Uh-huh.
But we had a lot of fun rodeoing. It was, you know, when it's your passion, it is fun. But yeah, the rigs we traveled in was nothing like today.
Yeah, when did you get your first living quarters trailer?
Oh, that was...
Were you still rodeoing when you got your first?
Not really, no. That was when the kids started junior rodeoing.
Mm-hmm. And then you made the junior rodeos a big priority for you guys.
Yeah.
You started the Colorado
we
Junior
helped
Rodeo
start Tammy and I and my brother-in-law Dave Whalert, Mitch Hickey is she's the mainstay for that and always has been. And there was the Larimores, there was a lot of people. I can't even remember everybody that was on the board. And but Tammy was president for 17 years. So when the CJRA started, the rodeoing for me kind of got pushed back, which I was fine with it because to be a dad is a lot more important. So, we still rodeoed some, but it wasn't the number one priority.
And when you married Tammy, she roped great back then.
Tammy roped, and she roped good, but she was a healer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I spent many hours taking the rope off the dummy while she roped it a horseback. Because it's in that time, for a lady to heal was difficult. Now there's a lot of good women healers, but then you could have a lot more success heading than you could healing. So
because she grew up on a ranch, so healing was probably really natural for her.
Yeah,
dragging
she just
calves
roped.
and everything.
Yeah, they just roped, you know. So yeah, she could rope both ends, and it's funny, a good story about Tammy and her healing. She, the USTRC has the regional finals, and they give the Cruel Girl thing, and so she had gone over there, and she was behind a little bit to win the Cruel Girl deal, and coming to the last day, she needed to win something, and she's very competitive, and so she got up I thought she wasn't going. I thought she was done. Well, she gets up real early in the morning, and Britt and I get up, and we say, what are you doing? She said, I'm going back to the rope. And I said, what are you going to do? I'm healing. I said, what? Yeah, I'm healing. And I said, well, who are you healing for? And she said, Jake Beard, he asked me to rope, and I'm going to go heal for him. But I need to win something so I can win the Cruel Girl thing. So I said, oh, well, so we saddle her horse, cut off her ropes, and she takes off. Well, I never hear from her. Well, finally, I call and I say, well, what'd you do? How'd you do? I did okay. I did all right. I'll be home in about 15 minutes. She pulls in, gets out, pulls the saddle out, throws it on the ground, said, I won the rope. And so she ended up winning the Cruel Girl thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You don't ever want to count her out. It's like when she won the Perry rope, and Trey Yates was on the phone telling Britt and I was in the unsaddling horses we had roped, and he said, your mom's second high back at the Perry, because we hadn't heard from her. And So he's given us Britt and I look at each other and we said, she'll win it. And so Trey's given us the play-by-play. So we knew she won the roping before she probably did. I said, what were you doing? She goes, I was trying to put this real estate deal together. Well, I said, did you know you were a second height? I did, but I'm trying to get this real estate deal done. So
she's a force. Your wife is a force.
She is in everything she does. She goes at it hard. She works very hard. She doesn't, it's hard. It's frustrating for her now because she doesn't get a rope very much. She doesn't get a practice. And when she goes and she doesn't rope well, then we all pay because when she gets home, we rope. But she's busy with her business, and she goes at her business like she does her roping. She works at it very hard. And
while she's been building her real estate business, you've been managing the horse side of things here for the most part, right?
Yeah. We ride. We don't ride a lot of outside horses like we used to. We still have some. We ride for one outfit, but we ride a lot of our own and train them and sell them. Taya always has a lot of horses. So yeah, we may saddle. I don't know. You may drive by here days and the arena will be full of horses.
Yeah, I think every time I drive by here, it's full of horses.
We just get on and go to roping and riding, and it's just what we do.
And so in your horse, when did you prioritize horsemanship and riding good horses in your roping career? Did that come first, or?
Well, when I learned to rope, I always had good horses. My dad always made sure that I had good horses. But when they were gone, he made sure that he wanted me to know how to make a good horse. And as we all know in the roping deal, you're only as good. Your talent only takes you so far. And you have to have a good horse. And so making them takes a long time. But when I got into the showing the horses, I started to learn a lot because I was around great horsemen all the time. And you see different things and different ways to do things.
And how did you get into showing the horses?
Well, Tammy and I just got married. I grew up, the ranch that I grew up on, Gary Putman's dad ran, and Gary trained a super horse. He's done really well.
And he trained
Mr. Baron Red. And a friend of his, Kent Martin, he got me into the showing side, had a horse that he had qualified for the World Show, and he had too many to ride, so he needed somebody to ride this horse. And so Gary called me to ask me if I would ride the horse. And from that day forward, he left, went to work for Pitzer's, and I started helping Gary and riding some of those, showing them, and then I have always worked for Kent, I've showed horses at the World Show for over 20 years, probably.
And have you developed favorite bloodlines? I mean, obviously the bloodlines have evolved dramatically since in the last 20 years. Have you developed any favorites?
Right now we have a horse by Wimpy's Little Step that is an awesome horse. I really like him. We have some horses.
So do you are they a little freer, the Wimpy's Little Step horses?
That horse is so smart. So smart. We've got some horses by One Hot Jose that we got from the Brahmans, from JB Court Horses. Corona Cartel. A lot of those horses are nice. Both of them.
The Corona Cartels, you like that much speed?
Yeah, Tia has got a brown mare here that she's riding for him. She's amazing. She's amazingly fast, and she is really nice. So we have some horses from them that are just outstanding. But I kind of like something that I feel like the mare is the big thing in the horse deal. So I like cut and bred mares, or mares that can do something, crossed on something with a little bit of speed. It's kind of what I like.
Nice. And so you've gotten to see the evolution of both the rodeo world and now the horse show world and into the futurities. And you got to judge the futurity last year. What do you see that as the future?
I hope so. I hope it is. To find nice horses is really, really hard. And even talking to Jim Brinkman, he tells me that there's a shortage of horses. So good horses are going to be harder and harder to come by. Plus, we don't have the people riding them on the ranch, doing the things that people used to do. So I hope that the futurity really takes off. I think it gives a place for the guys that are training maybe the reining cow horse, that type of horses that maybe aren't quite good enough to go on and be a winner there. It gives a place for them to go. Plus, the guys that are training the horses professionally can take something and make it really nice and get what it's worth, which we all know it takes so many hours to train a nice horse. And that's why they're expensive, because it takes a lot of time.
And have you seen in your experience as you sell horses, the jackpot guys, the recreational ropers wanting to spend more or willing to spend more than ever before?
Yeah, I think so, because there's more money out there now. There's a little bit more money. Plus, you have opportunity to win. You go to the World Series, you got a chance to win a lot of money. And so every week, there's a good roping somewhere that you can go win some money, and you have a good chance of actually paying for an expensive horse.
Yeah.
Don't forget, this podcast is supported by U.S. Rider, the premier equestrian roadside assistance program in the industry. You've heard me talk about it every episode since the start, and now I want to give you a promo code so you all can subscribe and save money too. You get 14 months for the price of 12 with the promo code PC718. That is P as in Paul, C as in cat, 718. You only get it if you're listening to The Score. This is a Score exclusive promo code. So head on over to usrider.org and subscribe.
Now, at the same time, so Taya is training a lot of horses.
Taya always has lots of horses.
Yeah. And Britt, your son Britt is
25.
And he's got a leather business.
He owns Texas Saddlery. He and Dale Martin are partners on Texas Saddlery. He works at that, and obviously works at his roping, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But
But you've encouraged alternative routes just than rodeo, right? As far as the kids.
Yes. I have. Rodeo, I'm not against rodeo. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. It's a tough way to make a living. It's very tough. And I've always told the kids, don't get married until you're done rodeoing, because what was hard for me is when I would call home, and back then there was no cell phones, but when Taya was little, and she was starting into playing volleyball and basketball. Well, Dad, I got a game. Will you be here? No, I'm in Ellensburg or whatever. And it's like, man, this is hard.
Yeah.
So I finally just said, I can't do it anymore. When Britt was born, last time I went to the finals was in '93. And when he was born, I made up my mind that I was kind of done. Not that I won't always rope and love rodeo, but I just couldn't do it at that level anymore. And the way things are, unless you're all in, don't be there.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get to the level that you want to be. The only way to get there is to be all in. And that's hard.
Absolutely. Even in our circuit, because the Mountain State circuit here it's where all the best guys in the world are in the summer. So it's hard to even just circuit rodeo.
Very hard.
And not be all in.
Very hard. Yeah. And it's hard if you're working, trying to make a living, it's hard, because those guys that do it every day, they're going to win. And they should win. They're riding the best horses. They work at it. They outwork everybody because they have to.
Yeah. When my husband's getting ready to go and he's second guessing which horse he's going to ride, I say, Clay Tryon is not second guessing which horse he's riding at Casper, so you better figure it out.
Yeah. You have to know.
Yeah.
You have to know. You can't have any doubt or you won't win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like anybody in your family has too much doubt. You have a confident family.
Yeah. We have... when I lived with Walt Woodard, I learned a lot about stuff like that because he's a very confident guy. And that's just the way you are. You have to be that way in this business. You have to know where you're headed and how you're going to get there. And if you back up, you're behind. You better be moving forward all the time. So that's something that we've always tried to instill in our kids is you have to... you don't have to be the best, but you have to strive to be the best. Yeah.
And you, a lot of your confidence probably comes from your practice and how often you get to rope. You guys rope all the time and put in all the effort.
Yeah, we rope quite a bit, not near as much as we used to, because well, Tammy's gone rope and Taya's got her job, and Britt has his business. We rope in the afternoons. We try to get, he's got Tori working for him, and I try to help him what I can so that he can rope in the afternoons. And then we have Tammy have her horses ready when she comes so she can rope a little bit. So we don't rope as much as we used to. But yeah, we get to rope quite a bit.
How much time in your horse training process do you spend riding them and not roping on them?
A lot. Try to... one of the biggest things I see with people, even in even with their rope horses, is they don't get them out of the arena enough. Because I think a horse gets bored in a 150 by 300 square. We have a place back here where we can take them out and ride them outside and get them out of the arena and just let them kind of be a horse and work them outside and not in the arena all the time.
When you said you quit rodeoing, and it was around the time Britt was born and Taya was starting sports and stuff, did you quit cold turkey, or did you go to circuit rodeos around here? How did the quitting process of rodeo go?
I still circuit rodeoed some, and went to the amateur rodeos, the ones that we could, because they have mixed, and I could rope a Tammy and I could rope a Taya. That type of thing, but it's very difficult. If you've roped at that level, it's hard not to get pulled back into it. So I did some, but I knew in my heart that I needed, and I always have admired D. Pickett for the way he did it. He quit. When he quit, he quit, and that would be hard. But you still have the desire to want to. It pulls you back.
Yeah,
because you like to compete.
Definitely. You circuit rodeo this year, didn't you? Did you
I
go
went
to one?
to 2 with Brett. Yeah,
you healed, right?
Yeah, I healed for him.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is hard for me because on one hand, I want to be there. On the other hand, I don't want to be there because it keeps drawing you back. And he asked me, Dad, how come you don't head anymore? It's because I can't. If I do, then even at my age, at 60, I still would want to rodeo some. And I'm not competitive. And it's like, I don't want to go and not win. So it's just easier for me. I head a little bit at home. And I head for him once in a while at a roping, but I don't.
Do you go to the jackpots much? I don't.
No, I don't head.
It's not much. It's not.
Once in a while, I ride the colts and head on them at home, which we all know when you ride colts, it's really not like roping. You go through the motions. But to go and head and at the ropings and stuff, I just, it's hard for me. So I just heel. I enjoy that. So.
And you teach? Do you still do some? I know my husband went to there's a picture of him at one of your schools when he was a little kid on the wall.
Yeah. I do a lot of private lessons and have all along. We did our school at our house for 22 or 3 years. So now Britt has got me back into doing some schools. So we've done 3 or 4 this year. Actually, next weekend we're going to Kremling to do a school up there. So yeah, we do still teach, and we're involved in it a lot. It's just not near as much as it used to be.
Do you see any major bad habits is there like one bad habit that just drives you nuts that people come to you with?
Well, I think the main thing I see with most people and their roping is always their horsemanship. It doesn't matter at what level you're at in your horsemanship, you can always be better. And that's where they struggle, because when people start to learn to rope, the first thing they do is they start to think about their roping, the swing there, and you need to learn to ride before you learn to rope. I had a friend one time that was he was All-American in baseball and All-American in football, went to school at CU, and he called me and he said, I wanted to learn to rope. And I said, well, Don, you can't ride. Oh, that's no problem. I'm an athlete. I can learn to ride. It'll be fine. Just teach me to rope. So he come out, and in probably a month, he could do everything. He could heel the sled. He could rope the horns. He was just an athlete. He said, I'm ready to run a steer. I said, you're not ready. You can't ride. Yeah, I can do it. I can get through it. So I put him on my best heel horse. I went down there. I roped the steer, turned him off. My horse turned in, but Don didn't. He went right off. So it's like, you have to learn to ride, because it doesn't matter how good you are with this hand. You have to be better with the left hand. So
That's good. That's a good bit of insight for sure. Are you judging any more futurities?
No. Jay got T, and Nick's our Shay to judge this year. So that's good.
Is Britt going to have horses in it?
No, we have 2 that we were thinking about taking, but the kids decided they were going to jackpot on them. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And then, are you going to go to the World Series finale this year?
Yeah, we're going. Yeah.
Who do you have, and in what divisions?
I'm roping right now in the 12 with let me think, with Taya in the 12, and I'm roping with Kyle Conway in the 13, and I may heel for Britt in the 14. Haven't decided yet.
What's the best you've ever done out there?
I've never won anything there.
No?
I've not roped there a lot. I roped a few years, but I've never.
Has
Actually,
Tammy?
until last year, Tammy had never won anything. She won some in the 11. We've had a lot of success at the U.S. finals, but not so much at the World Series.
Are you going to the U.S. finals this year?
No.
No, not this year.
No.
Yeah. Who do you look to when you're struggling with your roping, or if you've got a problem? Who do you ask for advice, or who do you even watch to get lined out?
Well, obviously Rich. He's here a lot, and he helps me. JD helps me. So probably those 2 guys. Yeah.
And Rich, Tammy sent me a video of Rich mowing your lawn this summer. He's a pretty good dude.
Yeah. Awesome.
He's kind of a lesson on how not to be a rodeo bum, pretty much. He can.
Yeah, he's just a regular guy. You know, that's the thing that people don't understand. We're all just regular people.
Yeah.
You know, we have struggles just like everybody else. So it's, I don't know. We're all in the same boat. So, but yeah, those, like I say, Rich is here a lot, and he helps me a lot.
And you were pretty careful about the kind of guys that had influence on your kids. Britt and Taya have been around Jake and Clay and Rich, and they have...
Yeah, Ricky, Tyler, JD and Jay, and pretty much Brett Tanazzi, a lot of guys that I was in contact with a lot, and I knew were great people, and so yeah, I wanted them around.
Yeah.
Those type of people.
Awesome mentors they had. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And your other son, Trey, is making the finals this year. How kind of special is that for you guys to watch Trey?
I love Trey. I always have. He's. It's amazing to me how he has come along so fast. In the roper that he is, but he also has awesome bloodlines.
Yeah.
So you know that's going to happen.
Yeah. That's
So yeah,
good.
it's going to be really fun.
And him and Britt, they college rodeoed together.
College rodeo, Trey junior rodeoed when we were still junior rodeoing. So we got to see him come along all the way.
How much advice do you give to Britt when it comes to the leather business? Or do you let him manage that completely?
Yeah, pretty much. He's got Dale, and Dale's, probably the best. And so I don't get involved. I try to help out where I can. Actually, he's got me trying to learn to help him with some carving to keep up, which is fun, because it's fun for me to get away from the horse thing and to find something else to do that's a little bit different. And it's interesting, and it's kind of relaxing. Yeah. So not much there.
No. Well, thank you so much. This has been really fun, especially because I got to just drive through my back pasture to come talk to you today.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate it.
Okay, that's it for my conversation with Jay Ellerman. Thanks everybody for listening this long into the episode. And don't forget, leave us a review on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher, and share this with your friends. And in the meantime, have a great weekend. I hope everybody has good luck wherever you're headed, and stay safe.